If you love black music, you got to check out Q Points.
I'm Sir Daniel, and I'm a DJ.
I'm J Ray, a lover of black music history.
Join us as two music heads give you the lowdown on everything from the dopest MCs to hip hop and fashion.
Listen to Q Points on your favorite podcast platform and check out our website at qpoints.com.
That's QUEUE points.com. Greetings and welcome back to another episode of Q Points Podcast. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is J Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. Good evening, folks.
Listen, we are Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on black music history. J Ray, it's been an exciting past few days. Our social media is blowing up. We've had some really great interviews recently. And I'm just so excited for this particular episode because it's something you guys are going to be like, hey, what the heck does fast food have to do with music? Aren't you guys a music podcast? Listen, have you met us? We are going to tie it together. Trust me, trust and believe. But J Ray, before we get into all of that, please remind the people how to subscribe and all the things that they need to do.
Absolutely. So listen, y'all, you are here. You are either watching or listening to us, and we appreciate that. The one thing that you can do is just to make sure that you subscribe. That's really important. And it's absolutely free. The other free thing that you can do is just share it with your friends. Let your folks know about Q Points. If you are listening to Q Points, you likely have people in your life, family, friends, associates, coworkers. My doctor listened to Q Points, right?
There you go.
You just have to tell people about the show. So she did send us a review. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But right, so share the show with people. Let folks know what you're listening to, right? Because it totally makes a difference. If you want to go a step further and support us to keep the lights on over in Q Points land, you can do that by visiting our website and clicking the subscribe button. So that's qpoints.com, and that gives you access to some other things. You're actually going to see a little bit of a twinge of what happens behind the scenes a little later in one of the segments of the show. So that's kind of cool. And also, you could shop our store at store.qpoints.com. And another free thing that you can do that's actually real dope is subscribe to our newsletter. We're going behind the scenes on the newsletter. So the newsletter certainly tells you about the show, but it also shares stuff that we don't talk about on the show in that newsletter. So you might get lists of stuff that we did our top songs from the crack era in our last newsletter. So definitely subscribe to that at magazine.qpoints.com, and that's another way to stay up with the show.
Absolutely. And please remember, every Tuesday, where it's Super Tuesdays are back. You know what? That's our campaign. Super Tuesdays are back because every Tuesday, a new episode of Q Points is going live wherever you listen to your podcast. So take us with you to work. Take us with you on your morning jog. Don't listen to us during your yoga class, but do that afterwards. Yeah. So J-Ray and I decided this episode that we want to discuss the long-standing history of black musicians and the food industry.
Yes.
Because we, as usual, during our meetings, it starts off with just one little tangent, one little spark. And then next thing you know, it snowballs into a full episode. And it's very interesting. You are going to find this very interesting. J-Ray, there is a history of black bodies being used to sell products, especially soft drinks. Soft
Oh
drinks are
my
like,
goodness. Mm-hmm.
back in the day, historically, what we found out is that soft drinks were a luxury,
Mm-hmm.
and they were made on the spot, because they were made the it was a formula that the soda jerks were
Mm-hmm.
given, and they made it on the spot. But what you probably don't know is that certain soft drinks were made and marketed for white people, and specifically not marketed towards black people.
Yep. So Coke and Pepsi have a very fit into this dynamic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see it throughout history. So I grew up, we both actually grew up in the North. It's Pepsi all day up here. Like up here in the North, it is very Pepsi down.
True.
And it wasn't until I moved to kind of the Midwest and then, but really to the South, where I understood kind of the power of Coke because
Yes.
it was always Pepsi in my house. And in fact, my mom drinks at least one Pepsi a day to this
Mm.
day, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we found, so there's this article in the Atlantic, and we'll make sure that this is in the description for folks as well. But there's two quotes I wanted to pull, Sir Daniel, because they describe exactly how these companies did the work that they did. So so this is about Coke. So Coke was marketed mainly to the white middle class, right?
Mm-hmm.
So apparently this is a quote, Coke's recipe wasn't the only thing influenced by white supremacy. Throughout the 1920s and 1930s, it studiously ignored the African American market. Promotional material appeared in segregated locations that served both races, but rarely in those that catered to African Americans alone, right? So that's on the Coke side.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, and this is from this article, Pepsi and its quote unquote Negro markets department went
Mm-hmm.
in an entirely different direction. By the late 1940s, black sales representatives worked the southern black belt and northern black urban areas, right? Where we grew up. Black fashion models appeared in Pepsi ads in black publications, and special point of purpose displays appeared in stores patronized by African Americans. This is our music connection. Pepsi hired Duke Ellington as a spokesperson. This is the 1940s, y'all. This goes back years, right? Pepsi, the company hired Duke Ellington as a spokesperson. Some employees even circulated racist public statements by Robert W. Woodruff, Coke's president. So they were literally catering to and trying to speak to the black market, and music was one of the ways that they chose to do that.
Absolutely. So the soft drink battles, as you can see, have been started way back when, as J. Ray said, and part of the battle was making a very pointed effort using black music, especially on Pepsi side, using black musicians to connect with our communities and connect, so that we have a connection with their product.
Mm-hmm.
And it's since then it's been a very pointed and very intentional um work put into marketing food and soft drinks, and especially alcohol, to our communities.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way they know how to do that is through our entertainment and our entertainers. So J Ray, we got the drinks on deck.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about fast food and what fast food means to us. Before we go on to that, it's so
Mm-hmm.
funny. Before we came on to record this episode, we both saw reports about the ingredient aspartame
Mm-hmm.
that is contained in all soft drinks, specifically diet soft drinks,
Yep.
and how much and it's used that ingredient is used specifically, it's like the addictive component of the soda that makes us want to drink sodas consistently. I don't know about you, J Ray, but it's been a battle, but I have been conscientiously trying to reduce, if not completely cut off, my soft drink intake, because I know that if I take a sip, it becomes okay. If it's a 2 liter bottle, okay, I'm just gonna dust off this 2 liter bottle, and then I'm not gonna buy no more.
Yeah.
But sooner or later, you're still going to want to purchase that soft drink, and because it's addictive, they used to put actual cocaine in
Coke.
Coca-Cola.
That's why it's got the name. Yeah.
Yeah, Coke is it.
Right. It's so funny that you mentioned this. If folks could see my desk, which I'm glad you cannot, but I shifted the way I weaned myself off of soda was I went to diet soda. So I actually did drink diet Pepsi, diet Coke, etc. Anything diet, and that's one of the things that I think actually helped my physical go well. Is it was 15 years ago that I stopped drinking sugary drinks. The only sugar that I consume in drink form is in my morning coffee, because I have my creamer. I like my vanilla creamer in my morning coffee, and that's what I put in here. Mm-hmm. And if I'm going out and like hanging out, if I have a cocktail or something like that, that'll be sugar. But throughout the day, I have currently on my desk right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 6, so I can remember how many waters I had today. So I have 6 cans of sparkling water.
Okay.
Currently on my desk, right? Gotcha. From today. So I'm done with this one is the one I have for tonight. But anyway, the way I've had to wean myself off of soda is shifting to sparkling water, and I drink it all day. I can go through a case of sparkling water a day, and there's no caffeine. It's just water. It's just water that's carbonated. But to the point of going back to all this marketing, those sugary drinks are really, really important. And I actually have a quote I want to read from a study. It said that many U.S. food companies, let me tell you where this study is. This is from a study by Jennifer L. Harris, PhD and MBA. And the study is called Targeted Food Marketing to Black and Hispanic Customers, the Tobacco Playbook. So it's basically saying that these businesses are using the tobacco playbook to sell food. And this quick quote says, many U.S. food companies have identified Black and Hispanic customers as a significant business growth opportunity. In 2017, these companies spent more than $1 billion to advertise on Spanish language targeted and Black targeted television, more than 80% promoting fast food, sugar sweetened beverages, candy, and unhealthy snacks.
Wow. It makes sense. We've just been targeted our whole existence in this country, and targeted because once we got out of servitude and got into the workforce and started creating our own income and circles of income within our communities, they were like, well, we got to get a piece of that. And let's hit them where it hurts, and that's with food and the things that we drink and the things that we consume. And real quick, you were talking about the diet sodas. Remember, it's always that joke about sometimes it's a meme, and it's this long list of somebody's order, a fast food order. Be like, yeah, let me get two hamburgers, 2 large fries. Let me get an apple pie. Also, I want an order of chicken fingers, and and also let me get a side salad. And for your drink, let me get a diet Coke. Let me get a diet drink, because I'm trying to do good. I'm trying to do better.
And I want to love on, you're absolutely right, and that has been a running joke for years, and I want to love on those folks that have done that, because what we also realize is that those people who might be in the drive-through, because we're about to talk about a company that has done a lot to speak to Black folks.
Man.
If you in that drive-through, right, and if you taking that one extra thing out, like, hey, I might eat these two burgers and them chicken fingers and them fries and that apple pie, but I'm not gonna have the sugar that's in that Coke, right? I'm not gonna have that.
I did good.
I did good. Listen, we got to celebrate the wins. But of course, we're talking about McDonald's, who courted Black folks. So we have this is another article we'll include, but it talks about how McDonald's, through their franchise mechanism, right? So Mark is right there with us. McDonald's, through their franchise mechanism and really opening their doors to Black franchisees, began to be next level in how they spoke to Black people, right? And you even have, I remember what store, it was the holiday conversation we were having with you, Sir Daniel, where you were like, I remember the smell.
Yes, McDonald's is probably the most they are super strategic. It's a little insidious how they do it. But if you notice, anywhere you go where there's a McDonald's, before you actually see the McDonald's, you can smell it. And McDonald's has a very, very particular smell. We all know what McDonald's smells like. We don't even have to see it. And that's done on purpose. I believe it's the story that J. Ray is referring to is that what McDonald's has done is that they've really done a good job of inserting themselves into our lives, into our memories, and into the way we commune as a community, the way we get together and things. And so I just remember as a youngster going with my mom every Saturday night to her choir rehearsal. Seventh-day Adventist, they rehearsed on Saturday nights. Went to her choir rehearsals, and as a treat, if I was good, if I wasn't cutting up while she was in that stand rehearsing, we would always leave from the church and go to downtown Brooklyn on Fulton Street. And J. Ray, that McDonald's is still there. Remember when we went up to New York? I was downtown Brooklyn. That McDonald's is still there, and it's just a little fancier now. I could still smell it in the air because McDonald's does this thing where they put grates above their grills, and they pump it. They do it on purpose, pump the smell out into the atmosphere locally. And I could still smell it. And I just remember hopping out of the car. My mom would double park, hop out the car, go get my order. It was a Happy Meal or whatever. Go get my order. Then I would hop back into the car. Then we would go to this particular newsstand that always had the Sunday paper the night before. And I would grab one of those so I could read the funnies while eating my McDonald's meal. And while we were driving home, we were listening to Saturdays with Sinatra. Now, on the outside looking in, that is a super sweet memory. That is one of my fondest memories of growing up with my mom. I'm an only child, single parent. That's how we bonded. And it still means so much to me. But McDonald's is part of that memory. And on purpose. So it's so, when you think about it, they've always been there, J. Ray. We're Gen Xers. We're kids that grew up in the 80s, and McDonald's had us on the playground singing their commercial songs. Big Mac filet of fish, quarter pound of French fry, icy Coke, milkshake, sundaes, and apple pies. I had the girls double dutching to it.
Yes.
McDonald's was so good at targeting and getting at us in the Black community, big time.
Yes. Yeah, so when we get into the next segment, what's going to be really dope is we're definitely going to dive into some of those commercials that we remember. And the reason why they do this, I know that we've been talking about these companies spending $1 billion to market to us, right, as part of that study. There is this other, it was McKinsey. We'll make sure that we include it in the description as well. this is a crazy number. Black Americans, not even just like black people outside of the US, black Americans
Mm-hmm.
are a $300 billion opportunity. That is a quote. We, Sir Daniel, our community, the way that companies look at us is a $300 billion opportunity. And what that ultimately means is you got to pull out all the stops. You got to hire Duke Ellington. You know what I'm saying? You gotta put us out there to get us to come in the door.
Isn't it amazing? Since we stepped foot on this country, black bodies have been about commodity.
Yep.
And about making money.
Yep.
And and strictly and very targeted campaigns, like you said. And we're gonna dive deeper into it. Because it does something to us to see somebody that looks like us selling these products. Yep. Jerry, one of the earliest memories I have of black imagery and food, of course, is our auntie and our uncle.
Yeah.
Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben. Fictitious characters.
Nuts, fictitious characters that were put on products.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all, Aunt Jemima just discontinued Aunt Jemima as a name in 2021. They have been rocking this black woman selling us pancake batter for almost 100 years. Uncle Ben just got off of the thing. Like they literally would plop our faces on something because, once again, because of the space that we occupied in this country, right? We were trusted figures to care for your families, to feed your children, right? As slaves, right? So sure, put Aunt Jemima up there. People are going to trust that. We trust Aunt Jemima to feed our children, right?
Even whether she has a red rag on her head or she's got a nice tightly coiffed perm. Absolutely. Remember that the big stick around that
switch? Yep.
Wow, that was a super switch. Uncle Ben, I don't believe he ever got a high top fade or
thank you, Jesus,
or a low cut Caesar or nothing like that. He just looked the same forever.
If y'all put the high top fade on Uncle Ben, I would have been over y'all so much. But so after this break, y'all, what we're gonna do is me and Sir Daniel want to talk a little bit about some of the memories that we have, some of the commercials, and so hang out with us. We'll be back on the other side to talk about some moments in food and commercial history.
Yes, can't wait.
This is They Reminisce Over You. I'm Miguel.
And I'm Christina.
They Reminisce Over You is a podcast that celebrates and honors the best in music, movies, and TV from the past.
We get into the careers and legacies of some of the biggest names in hip-hop, R&B, and pop culture. From discussing the groundbreaking music of Missy Elliott and Mary J. Blige,
to exploring iconic moments in TV and film like the chaos at the 95 Source Awards. They Reminisce Over You has something for everyone.
So join us as we reminisce over the artists, movies, and TV shows that have shaped our lives and continue to influence popular culture today.
So funny, Jerry and I, during the break, we were laughing about the fact that even when you're trying to do better, like I'm trying to do better with my drinking habits as far as what I consume, non-soda items. I was doing so well, thinking I'm doing so well with these powdered drinks that say that's sugar-free, and you just pour them into water and you shake it up, and you don't have to drink sodas anymore. You don't have to drink fruit punches. Yeah, that's true. But then when I think about it, I'm still like doing a little splash of Sprite here, a splash of 7-Up, just to give it a little crispy taste. And Jerry just said, he was like, those probably has aspartame in it also.
Yep.
It's a real struggle trying to maintain health
Yep.
but to also enjoy what you're consuming.
Yes.
Because the eating and drinking is associated with joy. It's supposed to be associated with having a good time. And when people gather, what do? They eat and drink. So, and that's where Madison Avenue comes in, and we get plenty of commercials that are targeted to us to make us think of good times and to make us, want to put ourselves in the place of the person that's on the screen and say, if I drink that, I could be as cool as Alfonso Ribeiro.
And as kids, right, that sounds ridiculous.
Nobody cooler.
It's right. It sounds so ridiculous in 2023, but in 1983,
the tap dance kid was it. Listen, if my mother would have allowed me, I would have had a curl, all of that stuff. Because Alfonso Ribeiro, the tap dance kid, Mr. Silver Spoons himself, was it as far as teens and adolescents were concerned.
So that brings up, of course, let's just talk about the OG. I mean, the OG of music and advertising is Michael Jackson.
Yes. I mean, if that was an event, right?
Yeah.
Before we got the shorter versions of the commercials, we got long form commercials that had like an acting aspect to it. And then there was a performance aspect as well.
Yep.
Of those Pepsi commercials. So they invested a lot of money, because who was a bigger star in the early 80s than Michael Jackson? Nobody.
And so you get this marriage. Interestingly enough, once again, of course, we're talking about Pepsi, right? So Pepsi is like, we know black people better than anybody. We had a Negro whatever division over there.
The Negro division.
Right, the Negro division. And we know black people. And there's nobody bigger than Michael Jackson. What do you get Michael Jackson to do? You get Michael Jackson to dance and perform, put on a white glove, do the thing. But of course, the danger, right? This is probably an omen, y'all. Is we get this other really crazy story that comes out of it. Michael's the choice of a new generation or whatever. The hair fire incident.
And listen, sad, really dangerous looking. It was on Entertainment Tonight every night, checking up on Michael Jackson's recovery, the spot in his hair, and they think, I don't know if you remember this, J. Ray, they think that moment might have been the spark of the cause and the change in his complexion, because everything after that, his look started changing drastically. But it was still an iconic moment nonetheless. I remember it was like a feeding frenzy for all the comedians.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson was the punchline at that time when it came to that incident of his hair catching on fire during the filming of that Pepsi Cola commercial. But it still made. I just unlocked another memory. What? There was one of those crazy rhymes that we used to say about soft drinks, and it said, "Oh man, I pledge allegiance." Oh, I can't say that. It started off. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. If you're old enough to remember that, please drop it in the comment or send us an email if you remember what the rest of that rhyme said. But it made reference to the soft drinks that were popular at the time. But not only soft drinks, J. Ray, but food. Let's get back to that fast food. You brought up Duke Ellington earlier.
Yep.
Do you remember an early commercial featuring another jazz legend?
I do. Yeah, that's the Ella Fitzgerald commercial, and that was also McDonald's, right? Wasn't that McDonald's?
No, that was Kentucky Fried Chicken.
That was Kentucky Fried Chicken. You are absolutely right, and that included a young soon-to-be star in Shanice Wilson.
That's right, and they were singing their faces off for that. For those what do they call it? The secret spices, the
The 11 herbs and spices.
The 11 herbs and spices, and KFC. Because I'm not gonna lie, KFC used to hit a lot different back in the 80s. KFC does not taste the same today, J. Ray.
Hey, bruh, I was just talking to my brother about that recently. KFC in the 80s and the 90s was like an acceptable meal to serve. Not for real, but at the time we felt like it was an acceptable meal to sit down to. That chicken was hitting, them sides was hitting. It was a different era. 11 herbs and spices, y'all.
11 herbs and spices. The Colonel was just like, we just knew the Colonel had like an array of aunties in the kitchen with him frying up that chicken, because it was like the closest thing to fried chicken that your mom or your grandma would make. And then it came in that bucket.
It came in a bucket.
And it came in that bucket. It's all iconic. It's all, it's all memorable. The smells, again, I can smell the KFC in that bucket coming home. But Shanice and Ella Fitzgerald were singing their faces off for Kentucky Fried Chicken. Another memory was unlocked. If we fast forward to the early 90s, Church's Chicken made a huge comeback when they got Kirk Franklin singing about churches.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Chicken. I do not know anything about this. Happened.
You don't remember?
Tell me everything.
You don't remember the Kirk Franklin, and it was Kirk Franklin and the family.
It might have been a Southern thing. It might have literally, because you were in Georgia then, right?
I was here in Georgia at the time, but I believe this is a national campaign that Kirk Franklin and the family were singing their faces off about Church's Chicken, and it wasn't Church's Chicken from Heaven, but it was just they were just singing
Church's Chicken from Heaven.
They didn't do that, but they did a very Church's Chicken. I just remember how it was a very spiritual moment and a very gospel-y moment. Those are commercials that you would see during like your Bobby Jones Gospel Hour on BET, and it would be during also other mainstream broadcast times as well. But again, Madison Avenue saying, hey, we know Black people and we know what they want, and they love chicken. And I think specifically they wanted to give Church's Chicken a facelift, because Church's Chicken, let's be not for nothing, Church's Chicken is in like the worst areas of the hood, always in the worst areas, always super, super cheap.
Yes.
And the pieces of chicken were so big that people always thought that they were like genetically manipulated to make these pieces of chicken so big.
Their wings, I don't understand. I'm like, this is I don't know what this is, but I haven't been to churches in a long time. But I used to go up for the okra because I like okra. I'm one of the few people in I'm one of those folks. And yeah, you give me some okra and a chicken wing. Oh, it's not good, y'all. It's not good for us, but it was delicious.
Listen, I was a student at Clark Atlanta University, and Clark Atlanta is in the west end of Atlanta, and it's still there. There's a Church's right down the street from that train station.
Still there. Yep.
So if you're a student on a budget, a very tight budget, and you get coupons specifically targeted to you as a student that during Monday through Friday during a specific time like lunchtime, a student, you show your ID and you can get you a whole meal for like $2.50. Who's not going to Church's and filling up on that chicken? Certainly me. So I'm not going to sit up here and act like I never dibbled and dabbled in the dark arts of Church's Chicken. But we were in getting ready for this particular episode, J. Ray, we unlocked a lot of memories, and including that of, you never saw this, but Donna Summer's song was co-opted for a Chef Boyardee commercial.
I had no idea about this until Sir Daniel mentioned it, and it is crazy what they did with this.
We wanna get some hot stuff, beefaroni. Gonna get some hot stuff. Gonna get some hot stuff. No, but in all jokes aside, what we discovered and it clicked to us, our generation, we're called the latchkey generation. We
Mhm.
grew up sometimes with single parents that had to go to work. And so Madison Avenue figured out that these hardworking parents, sometimes single parents, needed something that could be left at home for your adolescent age kids to be able to feed themselves easily. And so we came up with a lot of these quick meals, these microwave meals, including a little Chef Boyardee beefaroni in the little pop top can
I
that
remember
you
it. Yep,
peel
and you
off.
could put the plastic back on. You put it in for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, and heat it up. So again, it's what marketers do. It's a game of psychology and knowing who your target audience is and who they are and what they're going to, and making these things affordable and desirable to them. So yes, we're going to use Donna Summers to sell these little pop top cans of Chef Boyardee, and you're going to love it. You're going to love it while you're swallowing a can of Diet Coke, because the Pointer Sisters was singing about Diet Coke to me, and you know I live for the Pointer Sisters. So it's all a scheme, you know,
It's
that works
all a
together.
scheme. But and then going back though, I think, you know, we can reflect on this now about having these memories, but also thinking about the fact that this food is just processed. It's just not good for us. And so our generation growing up was very comfortable going to fast food restaurants, eating out, doing all of this stuff. And we're now getting back to eating fresh food. Like, okay, I should go home, I should cook, da 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 da. But it was just so easy for us. And we had our stars selling it to us. And one of the things, going back to McDonald's too, that was ingenious. We all know Calvin. In the chat, who know Calvin in the chat?
I wanted to be Calvin.
Right.
Calvin was cool. Not only was McDonald's about to sell you their food, but McDonald's was going to have you working for them.
Yep.
And slanging them burgers to your friends. Yep. So that they can come see you at the McDonald's, you know, and give you'd have some pride in wearing your uniform, because all the adults thought Calvin was so so industrious for getting this job at McDonald's. So that we have those respectability politics at play as well. And it's a means of getting off the street, because in the commercials, Mark, we're coming. That's coming.
It's coming.
Trust and believe. Trust and believe.
Hang out for the next segment. It's coming.
But yeah, so it's also about getting the kids off the street, because there was some like hood looking guys in the commercials, but they were like, yeah, where's that Calvin off to? Calvin is off to work. So here we have this idea also being planted in our heads of, okay, we can strive to work at McDonald's. You know, McDonald's is an out. McDonald's is a way out, not a way out of the hood, but it's a way to put some money in your pocket as well, and still turn around and spend your money at McDonald's.
And not only, and yes to that, and the fact that this is also in the middle of the crack epidemic, right? So we are seeing a lot of folks who are doing all types of other things, right, that are work related. So yeah, you have those brothers that are like, where's Calvin off to? And you know, he's off to work. So it's also kind of doing a thing there too of showing a black man working, right, at this McDonald's. That whole scenario, thinking back on it now, is totally cringe. I'm curious to know what the response was. Did McDonald's see some sort of lift from it? They probably did, because I think those Calvin ads ran for a bit. But
I want to say they did, because back to your earlier point about McDonald's was one of the first to really open their doors to allowing black people to open up their own franchises of McDonald's. So I think that helped in that, because you saw a lot of a lot of us were working at McDonald's. Like, it was a cool after school gig.
Yeah.
I think my very first job would have been at McDonald's if I had not kept missing the manager that I was supposed to go see at the store, but I kept missing them, and they just never got to me. And I never worked at a McDonald's, but I did work at a Burger King, and we're going to talk about Burger King later on.
Yeah, we are.
We are.
So also in the early 90s, Sir Daniel, and you know, we're going to show some of these, but those St. Ides commercials they hit different.
Wow. Absolutely. St. Ides was a thing because, listen, hip hop again, Madison Avenue. What are the black people doing now? Hip hop, rap. Oh, okay. These artists, they're stars. The people really like them. Oh, they're buying up their music. Oh, okay. Well, they've got star power. They've got star power and appeal. So who comes knocking at their door? Madison Avenue. So you're absolutely right. St. Ides came out the door swinging. Malt liquor was just a thing in the black neighborhoods, right? Malt liquor, like our parents are, all of us knew that one uncle, that smooth uncle.
Chest hair.
With the chest hair showing and the gold chains. And what did he like to do after he got off work? He liked to crack him open a Colt 45.
Colt 45.
So he could be like, who? Billy D. Williams. They've always known Billy D. Williams was the black male sex symbol of the time. Yeah. So who they going to reach out for to push their malt liquor? Billy D. Williams. So for our generation, our Billy D. Williams was like Ice Cube.
Ice Cube.
Yeah. The crooked eye of St. Ides malt liquor. And but yeah, very pointed campaign they were rapping the commercials.
Yeah.
The commercials were mini music videos.
Yep. And when we get into watching some of these a little later, y'all, I didn't watch most of the commercials, but the St. Ides ones were so short. As I was setting them up, I couldn't help but see them. These joints is dope. Like, when we show you these, you're going to be like, oh, these are for real songs. You know what I found out, Sir Daniel, about St. Ides as I was getting ready for this show? St. Ides was launched by this company called the Mackenzie River Corporation. This is a white-owned company, and St. Ides was like their big product. They started in 1987, and they figured out that use of celebrity endorsements and rap artists made this thing go over. But this was a white-owned brand that figured out, if I use black folks, I'll make some coin.
I'm going to make a lot of money. J. Ray, did you ever was malt liquor like a thing that you ever experimented with?
No, I later in life. So one of my favorite, you know this about me. I like cheap beer. Liked cheap beer. I no longer drink cheap beer. Okay. Only because the beer does a whole medical thing with me. That's a separate thing. So I stopped drinking beer. But as I got older, I would drink Steel Reserve, Schlitz, yes, and Steel Reserve. Interestingly enough, the Steel Reserve, that same company, also was making that too. So, yeah.
So I never dibbled and dabbled in malt liquors. I just never had a taste for it. I think I had a sip of a friend's 40 once, because 40s were like,
oh yeah, we was drinking
40s. 40s was just a hip hop thing to do. It was just like part of the aesthetic is that you had a 40. There were 40s available. So I think I had a sip of one. But what I always had, though, what I did have was a soft drink, specifically like a Sprite. And Sprite was another company that did I have to give it up for Sprite. Sprite had the best hip hop campaigns ever. They had the KRS-One versus MC Shan battle campaign that was huge for Sprite, and it was like, oh wow, we get to see Shan and KRS-One nationally a part of this campaign. And then they followed up with the Five Deadly Venoms, which
Mhm.
featured women in hip hop. They had Angie Martinez, Eve, Mill, Roxanne Shante, and Mia X. And the way they staggered it out, it was so dope because all the each of them had their own mini commercial, and it ended with a bigger commercial. And I think Millie Jackson was in that video along
Of
with
course. Oh my god.
what's my guy from Ultramagnetic MCs?
Oh my god. Cool Keith.
Cool Keith. So Cool Keith
Mhm.
was featured in that. So again, major moment for hip hop, major moment for these artists. Paychecks in their hands. There was the Voltron campaign.
Yep.
Like they knew how to hit me in my nostalgia box. Like all the things that meant something to me. It's like they were following me as I was growing up. They knew that, oh, Sir Daniel is now in his early 20s. We still want Sir Daniel to drink Sprite. What did Sir Daniel watch when he was around 10? Oh, he was watching Voltron. So now, in order for, just in case Sir Daniel forgot all about good old Sprite, we want him to let him know that yes, we love hip hop too, Sir Daniel. And remember Voltron? Well, your favorite rappers are now a part of the Five Lions to form Voltron. I think Goody Mob, Common, WC, was it WC or
in the
Mac
Circle?
10?
Okay.
Mac 10, and ultimately African Bombada.
Mhm.
So another dope ass campaign pointed directly at now the hip hop generation, because we're growing up, we're getting older, and we have our own disposable income, you know?
Wow.
So it was super effective. I think it was very
Yeah.
effective for us. Like you said, it was so effective that now here we are knocking on, our middle age, knocking on 50, and now we're trying to reverse all the damage
Right.
that fast food and soft drinks have done to our bodies over the years.
Wow. And these companies are still using now they're using new stars, to sell things. We had, of course, most recently Megan Thee Stallion. She had her Popeyes sauce, her Meg sauce. I think it was hot girl sauce, which I actually did go to Popeyes and I was like, well, give me some of that Meg sauce. It was real sweet. It tastes like Chick-fil-A's Polynesian sauce. I think it's probably the same thing, just rebranded.
Yeah.
And then of course Cardi B and Offset caused a big stir with McDonald's. They had their meal, but then there was a bunch of, because remember McDonald's has so many franchisees, right? Those conservative white folks was not about to have pictures of Cardi B and Offset in their McDonald's. They didn't represent
WAP. This was around
the WAP
era. Okay, yeah.
Didn't represent them and da. So,
and it was supposed to be a Valentine's Day campaign because it was about a romantic meal.
Right.
Again, nostalgia and romance. Now they're incorporating romance because they want you to create moments with their product.
McDonald's. Yep.
And who better than Cardi B and Offset, because they're always in the news. They're the hot new couple. And Saweetie had her own
like a meal.
Like a meal.
Yeah.
She was notorious for like her bad eating habits. So it was
exactly. Apparently she would just like mix things all the time. So it was like Saweetie should have a meal. What was in the Saweetie meal? Does anyone know? I never had it.
It was something very that would cause disruption in my stomach at this age. So I didn't pay much attention to it. But you brought up Popeyes real quick, again, about the targeting of the Black community by these fast food restaurants. J-Ray, how did you feel about the love that chicken from Popeyes lady with the
She was fake sassy. Like, it was fine. I mean, it was marketing at its finest. I wasn't offended by her because I know what they were doing. It's what they do. It's what they do. It's the same thing. It's like the Pine Sol lady. It's the same thing.
We want we find comfort in Black women that look like you.
Mm-hmm.
And you remind us of the Black women that took care of us while we were growing up. Hell yeah, I want you to sell my chicken and sell my pie and soul.
God bless.
Oh wow, God bless you, Jerry.
Make sure that you subscribe wherever you are listening or watching. Make sure that you share Q points with your friends, your family, your coworkers, your associates, your doctor. And so, yeah, you can subscribe on our website. You could join our mailing list. You could shop the store. But the most important thing is just listening, sharing, and really for this show, making your appointment to go and see your doctor.
Absolutely. J. Ray, what do I always say? In this life, we have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the music play. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
I am J. Ray, y'all.
This has been Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. We will see you on the next go round on
Peace.
and two all beef patties.